Hey, hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to yet another reading vlog. Now this one I think is going to be really fun, and I'm doing only cozy fantasy books. This is a genre that I feel is quickly becoming one of my favorites. A lot of the cozy fantasies can be hit or miss for me, but I'm really enjoying them and like really trying to lean into them because something about I'm like really all into fantasy. Like I've read almost nothing but exclusively fantasy for the last 6 months, and I'm just really into it. But sometimes I don't always want the high stakes in fantasy, like especially like more of the epic fantasies and the higher world fantasies. Sometimes I like just like a simple magic setup and like cozy vibes, right? So I've been leaning into my cozy fantasy vibes here, and I've got some really good picks for this video. I think they're gonna be really fun. I'm interested in them. The first up is The House Witch. Now, I believe this is a relatively popular book. I hear pretty good things about it. I've seen it all the time, like in Barnes & Noble and stuff like that. I really love the cover of this book. If you know me, you know I love covers. Covers are what really make it for me in the book, honestly. It kind of makes or breaks the book for me sometimes. But The House Witch follows Finn. He is some type of witch of some sort, and we kind of follow him around. He becomes the royal cook for like one of the royal lands and for this monarchy. And for some reason he's hiding it, so it's just kind of like him and his cat Kraken, aka his familiar. And he kind of is trying to hide his powers from them because from my understanding, I think he just wants to live his life and not be worried about like people knowing he has powers, because even though I think in this world there like hasn't been any witch trials, like there have been in like the past, but not in like 50 or 100 years or something like that, right? So we're kind of just following Finn around as he's trying to like go undetected, but of course things probably go like awry and things happen. I'm sure he gets discovered. I think there's a little bit of romance aspect in this book, and it just seems like a really fun, cozy time. And I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see what his powers are, how that develops. But again, I'm ready for just a cozy time. I wanna just have fun reading it, and I wanna enjoy it, and I just wanna have fun. And the next book on the TBR is Half a Soul. Now I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and I will say I don't love the cover on this one. I feel like I've been really holding back on this book because of the cover. But I've heard nothing but good things, and it finally came up on my libbies, and so I'm like, yep, this is the time. I want to do cozy fantasy anyway. Let's read it. And so this follows our main character, and somehow she has half a soul. I'm not exactly sure how. I think it was like a deal with the Fae gone wrong, and it kind of follows her along as she ends up trying to figure out like how to get back the rest of her soul, pretty much. And she like hooks up with like the Lord Sorcerer or something. And there's like, I think this is like some type of big fantasy romance in some way, shape, or form. And I have heard like the writing style is really good, and I believe it's like Bridgerton-esque vibes, like in that like 1800-ish era, right? So I think that's gonna be really fun. I think it's gonna be really cozy. I'm interested to see, because I have heard like so many good things about this book. Like it makes me wonder, like, is it really that good? You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm talking about. Like, is it that good? Is it? We're about to find out. I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. And the last book on the TBR is it my most anticipated? I wouldn't say my most anticipated book of the year, but the most excited one I think about, especially in this TBR, is Paladin's Grace. I have not heard much about this. I think I heard like from one of my other favorite creators. It's a T. Kingfisher book, and I know she's mostly known for more like horror style books, but this is like a interconnected standalone in a fantasy world, and it follows a paladin. So his god dies, and for some reason, I think it's like a few years past after his god has died, and now he's just kind of trying to figure out life. He somehow hooks up with a perfumer, and they somehow, in some way, shape, or form, notice like a murder or a killing or like some type of sabotage of some sort, and then they have to kind of like figure it out, right? Like they kind of like get mixed up in like a murder mystery that they're not supposed to. Now I will say, murder mysteries are not my favorite. I feel like it's a little out of my depth, a little out of my comfort zone. But this is set in like a fantasy realm. I think there's some magic in it, and it's also of like medieval-like times, right? And I think like that twist on fantasy is going to be very interesting because I like that fantasy world. Unsure how I feel about like the necessarily murder mystery, and I love a quest. I love like questions coming up. I'm really trying to somewhat go out of some of my comfort zone, seeing what else I like now that I've gotten back into reading the last few years. Like, what else do I like to read? Because again, I've been so heavy fantasy focused for so many months, especially. I'm like, well, maybe I should branch out of certain fantasy. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I've heard really good things. I think it's got really good ratings on Goodreads. And also, first of all, UK cover edition, so much better than the US. I just have to say that. I have to say it. Like, it is so beautiful. But anyway, I'm really excited for my TBR. I think these are going to be some really fun, cozy reads. I think they're going to be interesting, especially Paladin's Grace. I'm interested to see if I actually do like it. I think the concept is really interesting. Like, I think it's, like, in theory, I think it will be a hit for me because it hits all the boxes other than maybe unsure of the murder mystery part. But again, we shall see. I don't know. I'm excited for this TBR. I'm excited to get into it. I'm really, really behind in my journaling, like bullet journaling and like just book journaling in general. I have switched from my bullet journaling like more of like an Hobonichi style, like weekly spread, because for me it's just easier to keep up with them, and I can still kind of do like my scrapbooking, like memory keep stuff with it. I feel like it's easier to go by weekly than like daily, because like I don't always have time every day to write into that. So we'll definitely get into that in this video, but there's just gonna be lots of reading, a lot of fun, lots of cozy fantasy vibes, and I will update you guys here. I think I'm gonna start with the House Witch. I think that's the one, like, I mean, obviously I'm super excited about them all, but I think the House Witch just sounds the best for me right now, so I think that's where I'm going to start, and then I will update you guys here in just a few minutes. Alright, I am here for an update. If you hear some talking in the background, my husband's out there playing a video game, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. But I am about 55% of the way through the House Witch, and let me double check that. I'm pretty sure it was 55%. Yep, 55%. I'm on page 270, and I am loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm having a great time reading it. I think it's really fun and intriguing, and it's not like there's a huge overplot of the story, but anyway, we're following along a main character, Finn, and he is a witch, and he doesn't want anybody to know, but he comes to this new kingdom, and he comes in as the cook, and he's like this super well-rounded, and he's only like 28 years old, so they're like, why are you so young for you? And he's like, you know, really tall and like lithe looking, almost pretty is what he's kind of described as. And they're like, well, how could you be a chef? Most of them were like fat and like ready faced, right? And so he gets a lot of like flashbacks and like, not flashbacks, like blastbacks, I guess you can describe it as. A lot of people are confused. He's very, not demeaning, but like he knows what he wants, and like he wants the kitchen a specific way. He wants a certain amount of people helping him, and like nobody else is to be in the kitchen. And a lot of people don't take that because they're like used to doing whatever they want, including like certain nights and things like that. And people have standing. He's like, doesn't matter. I'm here to cook for the entire royal household. Like, get out. And I like how he kind of demands a presence and demands respect. I think it's very interesting how it kind of works, and he's very well educated. But we're kind of following him along as he's going through in his tasks. And let me tell you, do not read this book if you're hungry, because like the way it describes these meals, fantastic. And the way he kind of like navigates some of the issues that he has with someone like the head of housekeeping and like things like that. And like it's really funny because he's just like, she'll come at him and like start screaming at him and yelling at him for whatever reason, and he just slowly starts to like bring some food out and make some type of food for them, and he just like slowly sits in front of them, and then all of a sudden they forget like why they were yelling at him, and they become much nicer. And it's really funny how well that's like played into the story, and it's very interesting. But as we're following him along, there's also a Beltane festival, so it's like a Scottish English vibe going on here. And it's very enjoyable to read. And then kind of in the background, there's also another, oh, I don't know if she's technically a main character, but a more important side character, Lady Tremaine? Lady Janor. I'm sorry if I'm saying that right. Lady Tremaine is a book, not related to this, but Lady Janor. And she is like a widower, and she kind of has just this interesting backstory because she's married in from a different land, and for some reason something is going on in the world, and she's like super suspicious of everybody, and she's kind of like the right hand man to the king and queen, which is interesting because she really is an outsider. She's only been there for a few years after her husband died, and he was like 75 years her like elder, right? Like he was much older. And so he ended up passing like a year or two ago or something, but she's like really suspicious of Finn the cook, our main character. And it's interesting to come about and like how she's kind of twisting into the story because something is going on in this land. They're really concerned, I think, about some type of war happening, and there's just a lot going on with that. And so we're getting kind of snippets of that, but overall, like I'm really enjoying myself. And I think the thing that I'm loving the most about this story is about Finn's powers. Now, I don't know that I've ever read a book with powers specific to this, but as in its name, he's a house witch, and then explains it a few chapters in, and it's really not ruining anything because it literally displays his magic literally like within the first 2 or 3 pages, right? And it's very interesting because he's literally a house witch, so he protects the home and makes the home safe and comfortable. And I find that so interesting because it sounds like, oh, well, that's not like a huge major power, but it is. And he's very like looked down upon in like the magic community and things like that. Like he's what do they consider him? Like a mutant, and they're like, again, like of the lower class, you know, because he's not like a pure elemental. And so that's very interesting, but the way he uses his magic is so interesting because the bigger the like home he takes care of, aka since he takes care of like the royalty in this castle, the more power he has. But it's so interesting like as he goes about the kitchen, because he doesn't allow anybody in the kitchen. He wants to keep like his witch like status under wraps because he doesn't like people asking him questions and like who his familiar presence is, you know. He doesn't like all those connections and questions, and even though witches have not been persecuted in like over 50 years, he's still like very wary of that. And so the way he navigates it's very interesting. But like literally just walking into the kitchen and like how like all the magic is going about, and like all the things like the knives are cutting themselves, so the broom is like sweeping, and like the things are like the bowls are mixing themselves. Very interesting. I think that's really fun. But the way it's done and like the way it's explained about like, yeah, he's the protector of the home, he's sure to make it safe. And like I love how it like he really takes it upon as like a protector of man, or well, protector of women, really. Like he has definitely a more of a strained relationship with his father. It's definitely alluded to that quite a bit. And it's really interesting how he's really standing up to a lot of people for not only for like his underlings and like assistant cooks and things like that, but like for all women, you know, because I'm pretty sure his dad probably beat him, and like he had a really like rough life growing up, and so watching his mom also get beaten, so he really takes it upon himself to like take care of others and like young women, and I really like that. I think it's a really interesting aspect. But again, it's really fun. There's a few parts where I'm literally laughing out loud, but it's definitely more of like a try humor. And I still find that very endearing. It's very fun so far, but I love how it's like bringing this aspect of cozy fantasy, but there's still some very interesting, more higher fantasy moments, I guess you could say, because usually when you're in a cozy fantasy, it's more like lower tier, not much going on. And this one, it's got a little bit of a higher fantasy kick with like a potential war coming and all the different dynamics and things like that. And I'm really enjoying that aspect. So I'm definitely excited to get back into this and finish it up. I'll probably finish it up either today or tomorrow, but I'm really liking it. It's fun, it's cozy. There is a little bit of a satirical and like funny aspect to it, definitely more of a dry humor, but I'm enjoying it. I liked the main character. It's easy to follow along, but there's definitely some like mysteries that are coming about that like you wanting to know more about, and like I'm wanting to keep reading. So I definitely continue on with this. I definitely am like so far behind in my journaling. So I hopefully get to that to either this afternoon or sometime tomorrow. So I'll definitely kind of bring you guys along with that. But I am so far behind in journaling, like regular like bullet journaling and like book journaling for sure. I've just like, I have not been feeling it. No, I don't know why. This weird transition like into spring, I'm just not feeling journaling, and so I'm so behind, but I'll take you guys along with that. But I will update you here in just a few minutes. Alright, I am back for an update. So I did finish The House Witch. Now I have really conflicted feelings because I enjoyed it, but I feel like as I got further along, I feel like it kind of derailed a little bit. And like, again, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like there are certainly a ton of aspects that I really enjoyed, but for some reason I feel like it just didn't all connect for me, and I don't know why. So we were following along. We know our main character was a witch and he was trying to hide it from his new job as the chef of the royal family and like of the castle, and things kind of ensue from there. There is some type of peril going on in the kingdom. They are like about to go to war and things like that, and like they very much suspect him of a spy. And then there is the other female main character. I would assume, I don't know if she's main character or necessarily more of a side character. It's kind of hard to explain, but she kind of comes in the story and a lot of things are happening, and it's just, I don't know. Well, let's just start with the pros. I really loved his power. So his power as a house witch, like that's what he does. He is to make the home safe and comfortable. He will protect the home, and like it's really cool. Like I really liked that. I think the storyline is really cozy and fun. His familiar, the cat Kraken, was also a really fun character. Like this cat, he's given to him as a kitten, and like we're kind of following along for like a few months, and it's really funny to see because like the cat kind of joins like a gang to try and like help his person, you know, our main character Finn, and it's really funny how like that comes about. But I don't know, I just feel like there's a disconnect. I really enjoyed the world that it was in, but I feel like there were so many overarching stories, and I think specifically there's a part towards the end, like the conflict, like the main character Finn is like 28, 29, I believe. And he just kind of does this really dumb thing, ends up kind of like beating up his best friend to a certain degree, like not like beating him the crap out of him, but like kind of beats him up. They get into this really dumb squabble, and then he ends up just like drinking himself into a stupor for like the next 24 hours, and then like leaves all these like cooking duties to all his aides. And I just think like that action was so childish, and I think that just really, well, number one, it was so off kilter to like what his character was really like spilling himself out to be. And like I get like everybody gets down in the dumps and like things like that happen, but I feel like it was so out of character for him. And like also I just think it's so childish, disrespectful. Like you are 28 years old, my dude, like come on, to literally like beat up your friend and like literally drink, and then to leave all that, like sit in your shit, but like at the same time to like I really didn't like the way that came about. And like things definitely transpired, it picked up from there, but I think that was just a really big disappointment. And the only other thing is, again, this is kind of nitpicky, and this was in, I think, technically third person writing, so like they're talking about the people, they're not necessarily like from each point of view. And I didn't like how quickly it switched from like literally from one sentence to the other. Like sometimes I was like, I don't even know who's talking right now. Like I would have to go back and reread some of it, and that kind of bothered me. Like it didn't flow as normally as like I would have preferred in like a third person writing, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy right now. My sinuses are so bad. I apologize. I keep itching my nose. Anyway though, it's just, I didn't like that the writing, I mean the writing was still good, but I think the way it all kind of ended up getting pieced together was meh. I don't know. I'm really conflicted because I enjoyed it. I did like it. I didn't love it. I don't know that I would continue on the series. I'm on the fence because again, I did enjoy the world and I did like Finn as a character. I just didn't like that one aspect of him, and like where the way some of like this stuff was kind of coming about. I don't know. I'm really on the fence, but I did really enjoy his powers. Again, the world. I think Kraken was a really fun, like familiar, and like his story was coming about, but I think it just kind of derailed a little bit towards the end. And again, it did come back together very much at the ending, but again, unsure. If I had to rate it, I'd say maybe 3.5 stars. Yeah, I'd say 3.5 stars. Like it was okay. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I'd reread it again though, but I would suggest to certain people. But again, I don't know. I'm still a little on the fence about it. I'm going to have to think about it more if I really want to continue on in the series. But I did start another book, and I didn't even realize how fast I've been going through this book. Let me pull it up here. It is Half a Soul. Now, I will say it's really annoying. If you use the Libby app, so that's the app where you can use, if you have a library card, you connect it and you can get like audiobooks and Kindle books and things like that. I didn't realize this, but most of the time when you get a book on Libby app, I just send it to my Kindle so I can read it on my Kindle. Well, for this book, I have to read it on my phone, and I find that like so annoying. Like, it's so dumb. But I'm like, why do I have to why do I only have to read it on my phone or like not in the Kindle? Like, why does it matter if it gets transferred to my Kindle or not? I don't know. Apparently, there's some like licensing rights or something. I had to Google it because I was like, why can't I read this on my Kindle? Anyway, back to like the main major here is I started Half a Soul, and I am already 46 of the way percent of this, and like I read 2 chapters last night, just 2, and I was already enthralled. And let me see, I'm on page 287 and there's 630, page 287, but of 634 pages, I'm on chapter 9, and I am loving this book. I am shocked. Like, something about the cover of this book also, I'm kind of like, like I was really teetering, but I have heard nothing but good things about people who have read this book. So I'm like, you know what, I'll give it a try. Again, it came up on my Libby app, and you know, if you use the Libby app, it's only, like, you get it for a certain amount of time. So I thought it was like the perfect time to go ahead and just get into this book. But I am shocked how much I'm enjoying this book. And so it follows the premise of, I really don't like the character's name. Her name is Theodora, but she goes by Dora. And all I can picture is Dora the Explorer. And I don't know why that bothers me. Like, why didn't she choose Thea or something? But like Dora, I don't know why. That all I picture is Dora the Explorer. And I have a really hard time getting that out of my head. But anyway, so she is young. It starts off like really with a bang, the first chapter, like prologue. Like, I really enjoyed it. She has somehow, it says her mom like made a deal with the fairy and was like, her firstborn child, which is Theodora, aka Dora, was supposed to have her soul. And so he came and tried to get it from her, and he ended up only being able to take half of her soul. And so now we kind of fast forward, and she's like around 20-ish years old, and she's now lived her whole life, because she was like 10-ish, I would assume, when this event happened where he ended up trying to take her soul but ended up only taking half. We kind of fast forward 10 years-ish into the future, and she's now 20 years old. And since taking half her soul, she doesn't display emotions or feel emotions the same way. So she's like socially inept. Like, she does not, I'm not going to say like a psychopath. Like, there's this very specific word for it, but she like is devoid of emotion. Like, she can't take any type of social cues. She really doesn't care. Like, she says whatever is on her mind. She's very, very direct, and she like does not understand happiness or sadness. Like, she does feel like certain things, like she's like, that like at the long end is what she describes some of these emotions, but she's like, I just can't feel them or express them. And so she really tries to emulate in society of how she is, like how others would expect her to behave, and like she tries to gauge on like the things she says, like, oh, it is in her like inner monologue, like, oh, that I didn't respond to that correctly and things like that. So, and it's set in like, I'd say like 1800s Bridgerton-esque vibes. I'm really enjoying that part because she's really close with her cousin, and again, her cousin was there when this event happened. Like, both her parents are dead, but like she's under the care of her aunt, and she and her cousin are very close, and so they grow up together, and like they know, like the cousin understands completely like what is going on, but like the aunt is like very like against Dora because of like just her emotions being shut off and like the way she acts. But again, like she can't help that, she literally has half a soul. But anyway, so we continue on. The aunt is really wanting the cousin to get married off, and Dora does love her in her own capacity, and she really wants nothing but the best for her. And they're not really finding any candidates like out in their country home, so they're like, oh, let's go to London and go literally produce like to come out to the ton and like showcase herself like in Bridgerton, and hopefully to find her really big like man and like wealthy man, because the aunt is really wanting her to like be like a viscountess or something like that, like very like princess worthy, you know, and things like that. So it's very interesting. So the sister's like, no, let's go, and like, Dora, will you please come with me? And so Dora kind of reluctantly agrees, like, I will do my best. She's really trying to bring in her social cues, but as she goes there, it's a really fun twist as to like what's kind of going on as she gets to the top, because like Dora's like looked down upon, and like obviously nobody wants anything to do with Dora or to help Dora in any way capacity, but Dora's okay with that because Dora wants to help the cousin get married. Well, in the kingdom, like in the UK, there is a Lord Sorcerer, and so again, we don't quite know his story as to what's going on, but she somehow like meets him, and then like there's another guy there, what's his name, Lord Albert, I think it's Lord Albert. She just happens upon meeting them on the town, and they end up for sure getting an invite to like one of the balls, and like it kind of ensues from there. And so it's kind of like an underling thing of like somehow Dora gets hooked up with the Lord Sorcerer, and he finds out that she has half a soul, and we're kind of just chronicling what's going on and like how maybe they can fix it and like get her pretty much her humanity back, because it's kind of like I imagine the Vampire Diaries of like Damon has his humanity turned off, like he feels nothing, like no excuses anywhere, you know what I mean, like it's like things like that, and it's like very like emotions dimmed down or like almost nothing. So it's very interesting, and so now we're just kind of chronicling going through the things of like trying to figure out like them kind of helping each other, and then there's just like was it some type of plague that's happening, and it's of some type of magical sort, and so we're just kind of going through that, and there's some really funny like under things that are happening, because obviously the cousin is like out and set to get married, but then all of a sudden there's like a sudden interest from Lord Albert. But it wasn't really a big interest towards Dora, but like all of a sudden, like, you know, like the moms of the ton are like meddling because they really want to like get Albert like pretty much married off too. So then they kind of like hooked him and Dora together, and they're like, why would we marry each other? Albert doesn't want to get married. Dora obviously doesn't want to get married. Well, she doesn't have like only half a soul. And so it's really funny how like the Bridgerton aspect kind of comes into play here, and like how the mamas of the ton are like conspiring with each other. And it's really cute, and I'm really enjoying the writing story so far. Like it really hooked me in the beginning. I was really unsure of this book. I don't know. I think maybe just the cover. Something about the cover is just like not hooking me. You know how I am about covers. I love a pretty cover, and it's something about like it's not a terrible cover, but it's like definitely my favorite. But I'm really intrigued with the story. It's a really even flow. It's a fantastic pace. I'm already connected to the characters, and I'm having a good time just reading this, and I'm enjoying myself. Because like again, like I read 2 chapters last night, and I've just been reading for like the past 3 hours, and again I'm already at 46%, and I'm like shocked by that. Like this is a 600-page book, and I'm like flying through it. Like I can't wait until I read the next page, and I'm really, really enjoying that. So yeah, that's my update. I'm excited. I'm going to continue reading that. I'm really having high hopes for this. Like fingers crossed. Like because House of Witches was a bit of a disappointment, but I'm really, really enjoying Half a Soul so far. So I'm really hoping that like continues on that trajectory, and I will update you guys here in a few minutes. But I'm really excited. I'm going to get back to this. If I finish this tonight, I would be shocked, but I will for sure be finishing this book tomorrow, and I will update you guys on everything, and I will see you just here in a few minutes. with an update. I finished Half a Soul and I loved it. It was such a beautiful story. I loved the way it was written. It was fun. Oh, I loved it. Like, it really was. I knew there was a bit of a romance to it, but I didn't realize how much of an aspect to it. And it was just beautiful. Like, I really, really loved the storyline. And honestly, it was a 5-star. It was like, I had inklings of a 5-star in the beginning, but I wasn't sure. Like, I was scared to admit that because I'm like, well, what if it kind of like goes offbeat, you know? But it did not. It really, really enthralled me, especially towards the end with some of the twists and turns. But I left you out on, I believe, we know she has half a soul because half of it was taken by a fairy, but he was like interrupted, so she like has no feelings of like true emotions, but she can feel like the tail end of like certain emotions. She doesn't know how to like act properly in society and things like that, or like she kind of has to gauge certain things, and she kind of ends up somehow hooking up with, not like hooking up like that way, but like getting acquainted with the Lord Sorcerer, who is going to help her try and figure out how to get her full soul back, potentially. But as we kind of follow along, there's like this, some type of, I think they're calling it a plague or a disease that is happening, and these children, there are lots of poor children in like these workhouses, are pretty much falling asleep and not being able to wake up again. And he's starting to investigate that, and like the Lord Sorcerer, and she happens to be along because, you know, she's kind of putting up a farce with one of the other characters, Albert, because like his mom wants him to get married, and then like obviously like the mean aunt, well, we'll get to her in a minute, but the mean aunt of our main character, Dora, is like, oh, well, there's some things there, let's kind of marry her off and like get her off my plate kind of thing. And so she's been kind of following him around because Albert is a physician. And so she, again, it kind of connects to the Lord Sorcerer because there's some type of magical element that they can't figure out of what's going on with these kids, and these kids keep dying. So we're kind of following along that, and like the twists and turns that end up happening are really interesting. I find it was quite surprising like how the twist came about and like what really caused the disease, and I liked that. I really enjoyed the twist because it's not something I would have seen coming. Like, I would never make the connection of how it all went down, and I liked that. I loved that I was surprised by that, because I feel like a lot of books have like not been surprising me at all recently, and I can't stand that. Like, I hate having to predict things. I did not predict this ending, or like the twist in it and everything. Oh, so good. But I really love the relationship between the Lord Sorcerer, his name is Elias, and our main character Dora with the half soul. It's so interesting how it kind of comes about, and like it really is like this Regency era like yearning, and like of course she doesn't really feel emotions, but she's like beginning like, I don't know what love is, and it's just how it all comes to be is so beautiful. And I will say there's like a certain part in the book where I think it's Elias who says it, but it's something along the lines of like talking about Dora, like, you have more compassion with half a soul than most people with a full soul do. And I full-heartedly would completely concur with that. Like, it is so true. Like, even though she can't feel anything, the way she does truly act and like showcases herself and like her compassion towards others and her care is so beautiful of a character. It's just like, literally, if most people could have even just a quarter of what she had, like, the world would be a much better place. You know what I mean? And she's only displaying that with half a soul. You know, and I really, really liked it. I think it was really fun. It was very, very well paced, and I enjoyed it. I don't know, this was a shocker to me. I don't know why I thought I wasn't going to like this book. I mean, I thought I was going to, but I was like, again, the cover is what was killing it for me. I'm just going to say I do not like the cover. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. And I think that kind of had an impact on me. Like, I'm waiting so long to read this book, but I loved it. Oh my gosh, so good. The ending was so beautiful too, like how everything kind of came together. And not the epilogue. Prologue? No, the epilogue at the end of the book. Loved it. I love like the little snippets of like what happened to all the characters, and like the ending of what actually happens with Dora, I think is so beautiful. Like, I really, really enjoyed that ending for her. I'm really happy for her, and like the way it comes out, because again, it's not what I would have predicted to happening, right? Like, at all. But the way it kind of like all comes full circle, so beautiful. And the writing it was so easy to read. Like, I literally could not wait to turn the page, because I was reading on my Kindle, but I could not wait to turn the page. It was so beautiful. Easy 5-star read, and it was just fun, and it was a beautiful love story, and like this like angst and yearning, and the discoveries, and like just her thought processes were also really interesting. But let me quickly talk about the aunt, okay? okay? Like, I have so much beef with this aunt. She is rude and awful, and she treated Dora terribly, even though she knows what was wrong with her. And like, I am adding her to the list. Like, I really need to make a physical list in my phone of like people I would fight in a book. Her aunt, like, I would fight her for poor Dora. Like, I would, like, Dora really is such an interesting character. And the way that, of course, she doesn't see like the way her aunt like portrayed her and like really looks down upon her, but of course you can see like all the red flags. But like, I want to beat her aunt, because how dare she? Like, Dora was such a good human being. Like, she truly was, even with half a soul. And like, her aunt was like very, very, very selfish. And of course that really comes out towards the end of the book too. And like, her reasoning behind a lot of things. But like, no matter what, I understand like you're trying to set yourself up too, honey, but like at the same time, like at the way she treats Dora and even her own daughter in some aspects too, I can't get on with it. I don't like it. I don't like her as a character. But again, I don't think you're supposed to like her character anyway. I really enjoyed Half a Soul. I would very much read that again. I'd highly suggest to read it. Oh, it was so good, so good. And then I did briefly start Paladin's Grace, and this is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. I'll put it up. First of all, let's talk about the cover. Obviously, I have a thing about covers. I don't dislike the US edition of this hardcover. I think it's okay. I think it's kind of trendy looking, and like, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't love it. But let me tell you, the UK edition, I'll put it on this side. The UK edition, supreme. I'm sorry, but like, I want this book. Like, just by looking at it, it's like old fantasy style, like mass hardback. Like, I really like that look, and I think the UK edition looks so much better. I don't know what it is about it. Like, it's just so cool. But I literally briefly started this literally just like 30 minutes ago. I was reading it while I was eating some lunch after I just got back from the barn, which I'm sure you just saw the clips of a little snippet. Let me know if you like clips from the barn or not. I don't have to do those, but I figure just kind of take you along with my day. I really enjoy writing, and again, it kind of helps me really process through my books, because the barn is like the best place to be, honestly, to work through your thoughts. I grew up riding and showing horses, and of course I still have my horse now. Cody is his name, and I love him to pieces. He's been with me for a very long time. And I don't know, I enjoy sharing that part, but if you guys don't enjoy that, let me know. I don't care to like not show that part, but also just, and me, and like, especially with getting back into reading things, just like, oh, I'm preparing for a fantasy ride. Like, oh, I need to travel thousands of miles to get to our destination, and I'm like training for that. Like, in my mind, that's what happens down the ride, because I don't actively show anymore, but I still do lots of training on him and things like that. And that's what I am always in my mind when I'm writing, because I like goals and set directions, things like that. So I don't know, if you don't enjoy that, let me know. I won't include it again, but I think it's just a fun difference and something else to add in. But again, if you don't like it, please let me know. Anyway, though, going on back to Paladin's Grace. Sorry for the wayward there. Anyway, Paladin's Grace is about our main character, Stephen, and he was the paladin of a god. I think it's the steel god or something along that. Pretty much they were like massive fighters for this god of like fighting lots of demons and things throughout the lands. And somehow the god dies, and they're like brokenhearted. He wasn't like a huge god. There was like 4 temples or something for him, so not relatively big, but of course like for all the paladins there, like it was a big thing, because like they thought, how could a god even die? And so that aspect is really interesting, because the god dies, and now these paladins are all left really brokenhearted. Like, what do we do with our lives? Where do we go from here? And there's like this huge rift in them, because again, their whole religious structure is torn apart. And so we're kind of following along. It's like 3 years later, and there is another another god that has taken in, the white god, I believe it's what it's called. And so of course these paladins of what Stephen is part of is like the god of steel. They're all fighters and things like that, but the white rat god is all about like peace and like nurturing, so like taking care of like people, the poor, making sure everybody gets fed, and like medical stuff like that, like making sure everything is taken care of. So they don't really have a place for these paladins, but he accepts them in, and they pretty much are like bodyguards for like whatever. And so they like go on things like protecting women like in the streets, or they're like having Stephen, like the first chapter, he ends up going and just monitoring like one of the physicians, and he needs to go to some of like the lower districts of like the poor districts, and so he kind of goes and just like bodyguards. And I am liking it. Again, I'm literally only 9 or 10% in. I think I'm on chapter 5. Let's check. Chapter 6, excuse me. Chapter 6. I'm liking it already, and like I didn't want to stop, but I'm like, no, I better do my intro and like get this out, because if I don't get this, I just have this feeling I'm going to fly through this book. I just have this feeling. I have a good feeling. So we'll see. But anyway, we're following Stephen along, and again, he's just kind of trying to figure out his life. It's been 3 years since his God has died, and so we're going along. He's walking back home after taking care of the physician or whatever for the night, and he kind of hops along. He hears these running steps, and this woman runs up to him, and she's like, help me, hide me. And so as the gentleman and a paladin that he does, he helps her out, and she ends up being this perfumer, and she just kind of needed his help to like, I don't, this escape. She was doing like, not to say terrible crimes by any means, but she was in the graveyard taking some flowers that she needed since she's a perfumer, and she's like, she wasn't necessarily acquiring, but she was acquiring them. And so one of the other like paladins of a different god were out there, and they're like pretty much like ruffians, and so he helped her just kind of hide her, and that's kind of where I'm at in the story now. And it's interesting so far. You're starting to get like little flip bits of what's kind of going on, but again, super early. I am liking Stephen, our main character, already in the beginning. It's got a really funny sense of humor in it. I wasn't expecting it to be so, it's not like so funny, like I'm laughing out loud all the time, but it's like the humor in it I'm really enjoying so far. And like, for some reason, there's something going on. Like, he was really concerned about the doctor he was like bodyguarding going out at night at all, and like without him, because he's just like, look, like there's some dude, like a bunch of beheadings are happening and they don't know who it is. And so he's like, don't be doing that. And then like the little humors of like between him and some of the other paladins like that were with him from the other god, or like he like like an offhand comment, he's like, well, yeah, it's been great, I haven't been stabbed in a couple months. Like it's just really funny, like the little twerks of humor that are like in there, and it's funny. I'm enjoying it, like the quips, and I think it's gonna be a good one. I think we kind of follow along. I think it does kind of turn into some kind of murder mystery. I know there's a romance aspect to it, but I'm liking it so far. And so I've got really good hopes. Like, I didn't want to stop reading it, but I'm like, no, I need to come talk about Half a Soul while it's fresh in my mind. And I figured give you a little intro as to what I'm reading so far into Paladin's Grace, my thoughts on it, and I'm liking it. I have good hopes. I think I am going to walk on my walking pad for a little bit. It's like, I've been really bad about walking. Like, I don't have to get 10,000 steps a day, but I've been really bad about like just laying in bed quite often and like not doing anything throughout the day. Like, I'm sitting too much, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but I definitely need to be walking a little bit more. So I'm going to try and at least get like half an hour into my walking pad, and I am going to read at the same time, because I can only do my walking pad while I'm at my desk, especially if I'm reading, because if I have to hold my hands up like this on my desk that I'm at while I'm reading, or else like I veer off and I literally will fall off my walking pad. But anyway, that's so beside the point. But I will update you guys here in a little bit, let you know my feelings. I'll probably give a final wrap up of all the books that I've read, but I have really high hopes for this Paladin's Grace. So fingers crossed, well wishes for me, well wishes for you with whatever book you're currently reading, and I'll get back to you in just a few minutes. All right, I'm back. Paladin's Grace. I have so many thoughts and feelings about this book. It's been a few days since I finished it because I just had to kind of process, honestly, what the heck happened in this book. Now, it was a good book. I will start it. I enjoyed it. I think it would be, I'd give it like a 4.25 stars, but I am unsure that it's the book for me. So I'm unsure if I'd want to continue on the series. So let's just give a recap. We know like our main character, the paladin, you know, his god died, so it's been like a few years since then. He somehow meets up with like this perfumer, and then going into it, they kind of witness this murder happen, right? And then it kind of just spirals from there, or like assassination attempt actually. Well, because there's some things going on, like there's some dude or being that's like chopping the heads off of things, and they can't find the bodies, but they keep finding the heads, so they're unsure about that. But like more of the main focus is they witness like some type of murder or assassination attempt. So it kind of goes through because they were just kind of there at like the wrong place, wrong time, our two main characters. And it just kind of follows them through there. And I will say, I really enjoy our main character, the paladin. He's really fun. I do find it odd because they're like, because you know, our other female main character is a perfumer, so she notes all the different scents and things like that, and so he smells like gingerbread. I don't know why. It's not a bad thing. I find it kind of odd that he smells like gingerbread, but whatever. Christmas all year round, I guess. And then he also, like our main character, the man, he knits socks, and I think that's so sweet. Like he's like not necessarily embarrassed by it, but he's kind of like, well, yeah, I knit socks. And like at one point, like he ends up knitting socks for our other female main character, like the love interest. And it's so sweet because like they're pink socks, and he just like, here you go. And so like flowers, and the way it's all done is super, super cute. I really do like the love story in this because it's not like the top tier like plot story, right? Or like drive of it. It's just kind of like a, not necessarily an aftermath, but like an interesting part within the storyline, and I think it's really cute how it all kind of comes together. But he like knits socks just because like his mom like knew how to and taught him and things like that, and it's super cute. He like knits socks for like all the other soldiers that he's with. It's cute, it's adorable. I enjoy it. Like he just sits down all the time and just starts knitting, and I find that really funny. And another thing I really will say I enjoy about this book, I love the inner monologues that the main characters have, like their thought process and like how they're going through like on the page in the book. It's so cool. I really enjoy like it's funny like how like they're, again, the inner monologue, like how they're talking to themselves are like, it's so stupid, why would I think that way? And like the way it's done I think is really, really well and funny. But the only gripe I have with this book, but again, it's just my personal opinion, there's a bigger aspect of horror than I was expecting out of this book. And I know T. King Character does, I think, write to some degree some type of horror, kind of scary, spooky, scary books. And I'm gonna completely admit this, I'm a big wimp. I'm a big baby. I don't like spooky, scary things. I like spooky season. I don't like the spooky, scary aspect of the spooky season, right? Like, I don't like scary movies. The only scary movies I can watch are any of the Purges, and then anything zombie apocalyptic wise, but usually I prefer like the spoofs, right? Like the funny ones. So I'm not a scary person, anything, right? I'm a big wimp. The being, and I promise this is not a story, the being or like person or whatever it is that they end up finding out like is actually murdering all these people and like chopping the heads off of everything, like, I'm sorry, but it's freaking terrifying. Like the way it's described, literally, I'm not gonna lie, I gave me nightmares that first night. And I'm a total baby about this, okay? But they give me nightmares. Like the description of this being or whatever it is, because I don't think they end up quite finding, if like they kind of know what it is, but like they don't really know what it is, and it kind of continues on to like the next book in the series. But anyway, it's just like, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying to me. Like I don't know. It's not for me, and I don't know. It was a good book. I enjoyed that, but I think like the slight horror aspect kind of took me back. Like I don't know. I just don't think this is the right book series for me. I would suggest it to a lot of other people that I know that would enjoy this, and it's just that little slightly scary thing I didn't like. I don't know what it is or why it honestly terrified me so much, but it was not for me. But I would still rate this book like a 4 or 4.25, like even with that withstanding. Like, it was a good book. It was easy to read, easy to get along. I liked the storyline. I just didn't like that scarier aspect of like that character and kind of like that kind of coming about. But other than that, like, it really wasn't like a scary book by any means. It's just, I think that character or being or whatever it is honestly just terrified me, and I was like, oh. But other than that, I really did enjoy it. I think it was fun. And again, I loved the inner monologues of these characters. I think they was really fun. And I just like the way that they talk to themselves. It was just interesting. And so I would definitely suggest it for a certain type of read. But if you are a scary little whiny baby like me, please don't read this, because I'm telling you, that character was scary. Scary as hell, and I didn't like it. But anyway, the other books I read in this, I'll just give a quick wrap up, is The House Witch. Now, I enjoyed this book. Since this being a few days and kind of still processing it, I'm still unsure if I want to continue on in the series. Again, it follows Finn. He is a house witch, and he ends up going and being a cook for like a royal family household, right? And so he goes and he's trying to hide his powers. Of course, things don't go right, and things kind of like secrets get spilled, and there's like a little bit of romance in it, like the kingdom is in peril, and like I think there's just a lot of themes going on in the book, and I feel like it just got a little overwhelming for me. And not like in a bad way, but I'm like, well, this is a cozy fantasy. Why are there so many things happening? And again, because there's so many things happening, there's so many loose ends. And again, there's like several books in the series which again would maybe address that, but I thought for like this in particular, it introduced too many too quickly. But again, I still enjoy the characters. I really, really loved the house witch, like Finn's actual like magical powers, like the fact of all the things he can do. I think that's honestly one of my new favorite powers. I think it's just really interesting. I think it's really cool. It's very dynamic. It's not something that honestly that I've ever heard of before. Thinking about it now, I don't know that it's like a different magic that I would have never thought to be. You know, it's something unique, and I like that. I like that aspect, and it was still a good story. I'd still rate it maybe a 3.5, maybe 3.75 out of 5 stars, and I enjoyed it. I did, but it wasn't my favorite. Still unsure if I want to continue on in the series, but it was good. I still suggest it to read. I think it'd be a really, really good like autumn, fall-ish read too. I mean, obviously I'm reading it now in spring, but I think it'd be a really good fall autumnal vibe as well. And then the last book I read is Half a Soul, and I loved it. That, I will say, really shocked me. I'm going to give that one a 5 stars. It was such a beautifully written book. So it follows our female main character, who is, gosh, I'm going to tell you right now, I still hate the name. Her name is Theodora, but she goes by Dora. And all I can tell you is all I literally see is still Dora the Explorer. I don't know why. It's just that is what is ingrained in my mind, okay, is Dora the Explorer. Okay, that's just, it's what happens, okay? Anyway, so she somehow, by some means, ends up only having half a soul, because the Fae took half of it, but then like was interrupted when he was getting like the full thing out of her. And so she kind of lives her life, ends up having pretty much no thoughts, or well, she obviously has thoughts, but like her feelings are like so long-ended, and like she doesn't feel the same way other people feel, and she doesn't know how to express herself or like the society norms. And this is set in like Bridgerton-esque vibes, and like they're introduced to the town, and she's really close with her cousin. And let me tell you, I have beef with the aunt, because the aunt does not treat her well. But it kind of goes along, and she ends up kind of hooking up with the Lord Sorcerer, and not hooking up in like a sexual way, but like, well, he is a love interest, but in the beginning it's not like that, right? She ends up getting with him, trying to figure out like how to get her other half of her soul back, and things kind of ensue from there. There's like a deadly plague that keeps killing a lot of these children while they're in London, and she kind of ends up trying to help out. And I really, really enjoy the character depth that you get from this book, and I love the way that, even though she only has half a soul, how much compassion our female main character Dora really like portrays is fantastic. It's so beautiful. Like, you would never have thought that like, oh yeah, she's got half a soul, she's gonna be, you know, evil or terrible, rude. Absolutely not. I think she shows more compassion, and I think it mentions it one time in this book, but she truly shows more compassion, I think, than most human beings do, especially in today's day and age. And I find that shocking, but I loved it. I loved the book. The writing style was super easy to read. Like, I consumed this book. Like, I like ate that thing up so quick. It was beautiful. I would really suggest for a lot of people to read this, especially, I don't know, I think almost everybody. If anybody is into fantasy and they like a slow burn, would I consider that slow burn? Yeah, I consider this like a slow burn romance as well, and I liked the world, and again, it just, the steady pace of the book I think was also phenomenal, and I really, really liked that. So I highly, highly rate that. Obviously, gave it a 5 stars. I'd read it again. I really enjoyed it. I think it was really fun. But those are all the books I read. I hope you had a really good time. Let me know what you're currently reading down in the comments. Do you like any cozy fantasy books, or if you have any reading suggestions for me to try out next? Again, I'm on this like fantasy journey right now. I don't know what it is. I mean, I've read a lot of fantasy throughout my life, but recently I'm just fantasied to go. Like, that's all I've been reading, other than like a few sci-fi books in between there. But any other cozy fantasy that you might recommend that I might enjoy? Because again, I'm trying to kind of spread out my little tendrils and trying to figure out like, well, do I like more cozy fantasy? Do I like more higher fantasy? And I think all fantasy, honestly, is what I like. But again, maybe not Paladin's Grace. I think it's a little too far off of my tentacles. You know what I mean? I think it's just a little too much for me. Not for others though. Still a great book. I just don't think that book series is for me. But anyway, I hope you guys had a wonderful time, and then I will see you on the next one, and happy reading.